is actually Washington D.C. I'm currently in Washington
Oh,
D.C.
you're in Washington
Downtown
D.C.
Washington.
Okay, all right. Misinformation there.
I'll get to New York. No, I'm doing New York later,
Are you
but
going? Okay.
I'm currently in D.C. Yeah.
Well, happy to know that you're making your rounds this afternoon there, and of course for the rest of the week, you'll be visiting the tri-state area. Dr. Thompson Fontaine, good afternoon to you again, and welcome to the Talk on the Block.
Yes, Matt, it's certainly good to be with you. Certainly looking forward to our discussion.
All right, looking forward to that too. Dr. Thompson Fontaine, what is the mission in Washington? As you said, you will be visiting the tri-state area for the next few days. What's the mission?
Matt, well, it's a mix of personal and business. We plan to have, as you indicated, we'll be having a very big meeting in the Bronx on Friday. But this Tuesday, tomorrow evening, we'll be meeting with some Dominicans here in the Washington, D.C. area, Maryland, Virginia area. We'll be meeting with them as well. And there are a few other appointments that other events that I'm participating in during the course of this week. So it's certainly looking forward to it, and especially looking forward to meeting the Dominican diaspora because there's a lot that we need to discuss. There's a lot that we need to focus on with respect to Dominica and the way forward for our country.
Any particular issue you want to discuss with the international community, not only Dominica, but I'm sure you will meet with some officials there in Washington and New York. Any specific issue you want to explore?
But absolutely, I think the issue of governance in Dominica continues to dominate that particular line of discussion. As you know, we've been in touch with various rights organizations concerning the way the opposition has been treated in Dominica. We have also the issue of our electoral process. That's also very key in terms of the way forward. Then we have the issue of our citizenship by investment program that has created some problems for the country. And so all of those will form the basis of some of the discussions that we're having here. With a view, Matt, to promoting our country, obviously, because we do have the best interest of Dominica at heart. And any discussions that we participate in is with a view to furthering and improving our country and the lives of our people in Dominica.
Just last week, a few days ago, our Prime Minister, Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit, met with, of course, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Any discussion circulating there in Washington? The sound there in the Washington, I can understand.
Sorry, there is a definite noise. I do apologize. It does appear that the President of the United States is passing by. Wow. So if you just bear with me.
It's okay. We'll bear with you. It's good to hear the sounds of the Trump parade there, you will.
Yes, man, it definitely is the President of the United States. Probably about 100 outriders, and but they will soon pass through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unusual. Yeah. Wow.
As you said, we're welcoming the sound, huh?
Yes.
Live radio does that.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Hopefully, it will quieten down in just a little while. It seems to be.
Oh yes, I think.
So Matt, great.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can continue with the discussion.
Yes,
all the commotion seemed to have died down.
I was saying that our Prime Minister, Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit, met with, of course, Marco Rubio as a few days ago. Any discussion surrounding that happening in Washington as it relates to not only Skerrit but the other heads of governments throughout the OECS and Bahamas?
Yes, but I've been interested in the response of the Chinese government to particular comments that were made by Marco Rubio, and in particular relating to Dominica, because when he talked about countries having to exercise caution in terms of their mega projects and how they go about selecting countries, especially China, I think that referred to some extent to Dominica. And I've noticed that the Chinese government has responded, basically indicating that really that is an issue of bilaterals, that it should not be seen as a threatening move, that caution. But I think what that speaks to, Matt, is the bigger issue of Dominica-China relations as well as Dominica United States relations and how that plays out. And I think that's very important because what we have noticed is almost a near zero tolerance United States government for the kind of engagement and interaction that we've seen between the Chinese government and the government of Dominica. And that, to me, is a warning, if you like, or an alert that Rubio gave to the government of Dominica. And it will be interesting to see how we move on from there. Personally, and of course, I do believe that each country should be able to run its bilateral relations in such a manner that it does not impact or interfere with the behavior, the actions dealing with another country. But given the socio-political implications, or given the big implications for those types of relationships, is something that has to be carefully considered in terms of what could possibly happen, what kind of repercussions, what type of penalties, if any. So these are some of the things that certainly should engage our government as we move forward.
But tell me, Thompson, would you advise our government to tread carefully as it relates to a relationship with China, a relation with China?
But again, I believe it is up to the government to pursue bilateral relations with whichever country that it sees fit. But I think what's important is the extent to which you're prepared to go and whether or not that relationship is crossing or blurring any lines. I think that is what is critical about this. And as far as no lines are crossed, as far as no things are, nothing is blurred and everything is open and transparent, then that is okay.
If, for example, Mr. Thompson Fontaine, Dr. Fontaine, if you were to be elected the Prime Minister of Dominica, say tomorrow, would you review this relationship with China?
Matt, absolutely. In fact, when I had the opportunity not too long ago to meet with the Chinese ambassador, I made it very clear to him that the United Workers' Party government would certainly like to review the relationship with the Chinese government, especially the fact that we don't think it has been as transparent as it should have been. For example, the people of Dominica continue to ask about the memorandum of understanding that was signed between their government and the people of Dominica. There are concerns about the use of Chinese labor to the exclusion of Dominican labor. I told them that these are some of the issues that I believe that are very vexing to the people of Dominica. And the United Workers' Party government would be very much interested in reviewing the whole thing because it should not be a relationship where our people come out second class or because it has been done in Dominica, it has been executed in Dominica, it has been unfolded in Dominica, and it's very important that the best interests of the Dominican people are protected and guarded in that relationship.
And you don't think it's happening as we speak? We have to review that.
Absolutely, Matt. I mean, look, see how long we've been asking for the MOU. See how long we've been trying to get a better sense as to what exactly the relationship is with regards to the international airport. What is the deal there? Is it really CBI monies funding it, or is the Chinese government, or have they agreed to fund the project? These are questions and issues that the Dominican public must be aware of and should know. So there seems to be a certain lack of transparency in that relationship, and we will certainly be a lot more transparent with the people of Dominica because, after all, whatever we do, whatever relationship we pursue with any friendly government, it must be to the best interest of the Dominican public. That is the number one way in which you judge that relationship, whether it is ultimately beneficial to your people.
I
And
know,
so, mhm.
Thompson. I know before, of course, the Labour Party came into of course, power many years ago. We had a relationship with Taiwan. Is it something that your government might even want to consider moving forward, if that happens to be the fact? Taiwan versus China. What will be your discussion that way? Hello. I suspect we may have lost Thompson Fountain there for a minute there. Um, are you here? Check your mic again. I don't know what's going on there. We'll try to fix the problem and come back to you there. Just hold on there, Thompson. We're trying to see what's the problem here. Just stick around, stick around, stick around. We're currently speaking with Dr. Thompson Fontaine. Seem to have lost that signal. We'll try to reconnect there in a minute. Dr. Thompson, are you still there? I don't know. We have lost the audio on that one, so we're gonna try to come back in.
Yes, madam, back. I just saw you back. Yeah.
Are you there? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good, good.
Just
Yeah,
got it. Was good.
we were asking Thompson as it relates to China versus Taiwan. Is it something you might want to consider moving forward? Yeah, meaning what were your priority?
But that's a very good question. In fact, that is something that, and a question that was actually explored when we had discussions with the Chinese, because they wanted to know what exactly is our view about the one China policy. So that's a question that speaks directly to that. My way of looking at this whole issue is that ultimately, whatever relationships are built, whatever engagements that you do diplomatically, it has to be something that benefits the people of Dominica. So it's through those lens we'll be looking at this in terms of whether, we look at the relationship with Taiwan or whether we look at the relationship with the Chinese. It is way too early to decide that course of action. I think it's very important for us to speak to not only the Chinese but to everybody else whom the country can benefit from. So that's certainly an area that we'll be giving some very serious thought and looking forward to revisit.
Did you have a chance in your last discussions there with the Chinese ambassador to speak to the MOU? Everybody seems interested in that. Did he speak to that at all? The MOU.
Yes, but well, what I did was to convey to him some of the problems, as it were, that the people of Dominica are having, and one of these has to do with the whole question of the MOU and the fact that those details have not been forthcoming. We did not get very far on that discussion. I just kind of laid out to him what were some of my concerns in that regard.
Dr. Thompson Fontaine, it seems very clear based on the conversation that was taking place between Mark Rubio, and the OECS leaders, including Dominica, that he was basically saying, you have a choice. You have a choice choosing China over America / America. What's your thoughts there? Where should we go?
Matt, I think in a way, part of what we should be looking at is how we can have holistic bilateral relations. By that I mean we should be able to adequately choose our friends with regards to which country we want to do business with. And choosing one should not be necessarily at the expense of the other. I believe that you can conduct your international diplomatic policy in such a manner that you can deal with every country on their own merit. So it should not necessarily be a choice, having to choose one over the other. It, any type of relationship must be built on mutual respect for that country, as well as respect for that relation that that country have with any other country. And so that is how I view it. I don't see it as a choice. I really it should not be, because I believe that you can benefit from any type of relationship with any country, and every country offers a different thing to your country. So we should not be put in a position where we are forced to necessarily choose. But I think while it's important, having made that choice, it must be in a mutually respectful way or respectful manner.
Let's talk about the CBI. I know that's one subject that the opposition has been speaking about for at least many years, and now you have the matter in court. What's the latest on that position as it relates to the CBI, Mr. Fontaine, Dr. Fontaine?
Yes, Matt. So we had the opportunity to take the government to court for a very simple reason. We believe that there has not been adequate accounting as far as the CBI program is concerned. We had issues about the relationship between MMC and the government of Dominica, what are the terms of the contract. But more importantly, we believe that the government has been violating the Constitution of Dominica, which explicitly states that any revenues raised by the government of Dominica must come through the consolidated fund. It does not give any room for government to channel resources raised by that government into any second hand or private hands. So it's on that basis that we're asking the court to take a very close look at what is happening, and to in a way instruct the government to do what they're supposed to do according to the constitution of Dominica. So that's a constitutional matter, but also it's a matter that the Dominican public needs to know. They need to understand what exactly is the contractual arrangements that will allow MMC to basically hold on to the lion's share of the proceeds from the investment part of the program, and then they feed the country as they wish, to do a housing project by there, a supposed airport project by there, a school building by there. We need to understand that. And the court case is supposed to bring some clarity to this. So we are back in court on the 20th of May, and we hope that the process will start in earnest. And those answers that we seek, we can get through the court process.
Dr. Fontaine, again, given the CBI, do you think it's approaching its deathbed at this time, given everything that's going on around the region? I'm reading a report there earlier that St. Kitts, a lot of people who had the citizenship passport, the program, are now being asked to asking for their money because they think some corruption may be involved. Ralph Gonzalez is tearing down the program. Are, are we facing the OECS facing deathbed at this time? A deathbed?
Matt, it is clear from everything that we've heard and seen that the CBI program is under intense pressure, and it may very well be coming to the end of its run. And why I say that is we know, for example, that a special committee within the European Parliament has recommended that the European Parliament impose visa restrictions on Dominica, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, and Grenada. So that recommendation has already been made. The question is how long it will take for them to do it. And we have to also remember that a member of the European Union, Malta, has been forced to end its program. Malta was making literally billions of dollars every year, up to $6-7 billion a year, US dollars, from the program. And they have been asked to stop it by the European Union, and they have since done so. So if the European Union can take that kind of action against its own members, it is not countries like ours that they will not deal with, because they continue to feel that the program has have some issues, that it contributes towards some instability, contributes towards some security concerns, and based on that, they're taking the action. I firmly believe that if the European Union were to impose visa restrictions on Dominica, not that I'm wishing it, not at all, because it's really good to have that visa-free access that we all enjoy to Europe. But if that were to happen, that it would remove a very significant aspect of the reasons why people go after our passports, and that is access to Europe. And if that is removed, it will have a devastating impact on the program. And as you said, we've seen people from Russia, Belarus, and so on asking for refunds because there have been some lapses with regards to due diligence and the countries and persons who were given those passports. So it's still under a lot of scrutiny. We've lost our visa-free access to the United Kingdom, the first time ever after being a British colony over all those years. We've lost access, and it is difficult to see how the program survives for very much longer. And if it does survive, then it would probably be a lot more restrictive than it currently is.
But tell me, Thompson Fontaine, if a government, I mean hypothetical at this time, if a government under your reign gets to hold that mantle, Thompson Fontaine, will you end CBI?
Matt, bear in mind, right, that the CBI program currently accounts for roughly 60% of government revenues. All right, so it means that ending that means you have a problem of where do you get that 60% immediately. And so I think what a responsible government as ours would do would be to look towards a phased ending of the program. We're not going to end it abruptly or right away, but we'll have to be able to put other measures in place that would be able to generate the kind of growth. But ultimately, Matt, we cannot continue that forever. There would have to come a point where we say, as far as that program is concerned, it is over. Let us now focus on how we can develop our country using our agriculture, using our manufacturing base, using our tourism, using our water industries, using the knowledge services industry. We would have to look at alternatives to the CBI program, absolutely.
What type of alternatives are we talking about here, Dr. Thompson Fontaine? Because we've heard already from this government, the Roosevelt Skerrit administration, if not CBI, then what? So, what are the alternatives?
But before CBI, we had an economy, right? And after CBI, we will have an economy. Now, you look at St. Vincent and the Grenadines, for example. They are one of the fastest growing economies in the Caribbean.
I've
Without
heard.
CBI, without CBI, what they've been able to do successfully is they've been able to really inspire the tourism industry, the agriculture sector. They've taken over from Dominica, supplying the Bajan markets and so on. The market in Martinique, and so they have really energized the agriculture sector. So there are some lessons for us. I've always believed, as an economist, as someone who studied the Dominican economy, as someone who has a very intimate knowledge of the way our country works, the way the economy operates, and the way the economy functions, and one who understands what is necessary to create the jobs and the opportunities for our people, that we absolutely have to invest more heavily in agriculture as a starting point. We have to invest more heavily in our water industries. We have to invest more heavily in our agro processing, in our manufacturing sector. We have to invest more aggressively in tourism. These are areas I believe, Matt, those traditional sectors that we can invest in. We can create the markets that are necessary for the agriculture. We can create the manufacturing base that is important to be able to basically manufacture or freeze dry, or whether it's our pawpaw, our mangoes, all of those fruits that are wasted every year in Dominica. We can find markets for those. I firmly believe that there are lots of opportunities in those areas that needs to be explored. And whatever resources that we have in this country, we can put to developing those sectors that will, one, create jobs, not only create jobs, but create good paying jobs for the people of Dominica. But
So, why, Dr. Fontaine, do you think that you are the answer and not the Dominican Labour Party that's been, of course, in office for the past 20, 25 years?
yeah, man, but look at their track record. The fact of the matter is this government simply has not bothered itself with taking care of the Dominican public. That is the honest truth. The honest truth about this government is simply have not bothered sufficiently with dealing with the Dominican public, creating the kind of jobs. And they had the opportunity with all of those billions of dollars that was being generated by the passport program. These monies could have been plowed back into our agriculture. These monies could have been plowed into 2, 3, 4, 5 factories that would put our young people to work, and even on a ship basis, plowed back into shipping that will allow us to ship our produce freely to the islands. There has been a very disturbing lack of planning on the part of this government that has led to where we are today, to the point where we are quickly probably approaching the end of the CBI program, and we don't seem to have invested enough in our people. And I think that is what sets us, the United Workers' Party, Team Dominica, apart from the Dominica Labour Party. We are concerned about people first. We are concerned about developing, in particular, our young people. We are concerned about providing jobs for the young people of this country. And that is why anything we do, that will be first and foremost. Doing the CBI was very easy. What they've done, they've outsourced the CBI totally. There were just a couple of Dominicans who are agents, but the majority of agents are foreigners. The majority of millionaires that have been created out of the CBI program are foreigners. It's not necessarily Dominican. So that tells me the government has not been sufficiently focused on development. And what they've done is to use a few dollars from the CBI to bring people in to vote during election time, and otherwise to give a $500 handout, a $1,000 handout to people to get their votes. But that is the shameful way this government has treated the Dominican public. But what we are offering the people of Dominica is a completely different approach. It's a completely different way to development, a completely different way to human resource, how we develop our human resource, how we retain our young people, how we create jobs, and how we generate economic growth. It's a completely different approach. It is one that is born out of many, many years of experience, and one in which we are sure we can perform and perform well.
How would you, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, at this time, at this minute, describe the Dominican economy? The Dominican economy.
Matt, I've used various words to it: collapsed, shambles. Uh,
Is it collapse? Has it
yes,
collapsed or is it collapsing? Which one?
it is in a state of collapse. And what is happening? Every now and then, another company shuts down. Every now and then, another private sector firm has to wrap up and go out of business. An economy that's already in a collapse state. and every now and then something else falls down, and that is what is happening. The private sector is shrinking in a very dramatic fashion. It has not been able to create new jobs. People who, when they lose their jobs in the public sector, they have nowhere to go. Thousands, if not hundreds, if not thousands of young Dominicans are seeking the exit. You know, we are going to have in just a few weeks, we are going to have another hundreds of graduates from the state college. I can guarantee you that 99% of those graduates coming out of school this year will not find employment in Dominica. Probably as much as 99%. These are young people in the prime of their lives who have to find some way to take care of themselves and of their families. And typically that way is to migrate outside of Dominica. So, you know, that means that the economy is not performing for the people of Dominica. The fact that we've not been able to give salary increases for over all those years. Matt, when I worked as a teenager, when I was a teenager in Dominica and I worked as a teacher at a high school, the money I was getting then is about the same amount a teacher is getting 30 years later in Dominica. That's
Wow.
tell you how you know how we've not really progressed as far as that is concerned. And when you think of the fact that over all those 30 years, inflation and prices have gone up. I mean, how do Dominicans survive on 1,500 EC dollars a month when your average rent is probably 9,900 to $1,000? You know, so we have some very serious problems in this economy, and the government has shown that they are incapable of fixing it. The government clearly is tired. We have the government, they have replaced all of the senior ministers with younger individuals who do not have the experience, who do not have the knowledge, who do not have the know-how. And we have a prime minister who, quite frankly, is tired and really should make way. After 25 years, man, of really trying his best, he's failed miserably. And now it's time for him to step aside. Now, and I wish he had kept to his April deadline, because he would have benefited the country a lot more if he had done that. You know, but I still believe he has time to step aside and allow new thinking to come to the fore.
So, how soon do you want him to step aside if he had to change his mind about
I mean,
continuing to lead?
he's really on overtime. He was supposed to have left at the end of April. So he's already 2 weeks overtime there. You know, he really needs to step aside because he does not have the answer to fixing the Dominican economy. He does not have the answer to creating jobs for the young people of Dominica. He does not have the answer to fixing the public service. He does not have the answer to generating growth within the private sector. He does not have the answer to putting Dominica on a sustained path to growth, to prosperity, and to development. And if he lacks that basic ingredient, he needs to step aside. After all, Matt, the Prime Minister is not even able to fix a very simple problem as garbage in a country where rats are literally eating the people of Dominica alive. People are dying from leptospirosis. And a government that has been in office for 25 years is not able to fix what is seemingly a very simple problem. If you cannot fix the garbage problem, you believe you can fix the employment problem. You can believe you can fix the social issues we're having now with young people. Absolutely not. And that's why I say after 25 years, this government is tired and they absolutely must make way for good administration for this country.
All right, somebody's saying the conditions of our economy speaks volumes. I'm wondering if Dr. Fontaine would allow salaries to be paid in U.S. currency from foreign companies by online work knowledge industries. Question to you.
But absolutely, one of the areas we are looking at even now as an opposition party, in fact, part of my discussion there in DC is looking at that particular aspect. How can we get more opportunities for young people through the knowledge industry, which means that they can remain in Dominica and be employed by companies here in the United States? That, I think, is a very viable alternative. It's a very viable course that we are pursuing vigorously, and we are hopeful to get some rewards out of that. And it's something that I truly believe in, that we can have young people in Dominica who earning US dollars but residing, living in Dominica. That is very much possible, and that's an area that we're exploring. So let me show the Dominican public that even in opposition, we are not sleeping. We are not just sitting idly by. We are working very hard to create opportunities for the young people of Dominica, new opportunities, new avenues, and that is a very important one that we are looking at.
Well, tell me, Dr. Fontaine, somebody's asking the question, would the Thompson Fontaine led administration make the China Dominica MOU public? Would you do that?
Absolutely, Matt. Yes. The question to that is yes. I see no reason it should not be a secret. That is That is a relationship not between Thompson and the Chinese, or the Prime Minister and the Chinese. That's a relationship between the people of Dominica and the Chinese government. And that relationship should be made known to the Dominican public. Absolutely.
When is Thompson Fontaine going to keep meetings throughout Dominica? I know you're now in New York and the tri-state area. Will you be coming home soon and having the meetings on the ground? More meetings publicly on the ground? Yes.
That is a big part of our process going forward. I'm just out for 1 week. I'm back in Dominica this weekend. We are definitely working very hard on reaching out to the different constituencies. Public meetings are part of that process. We've had several public meetings in the recent past, but we need to increase that, or improve on that. And let me just assure that individual that this is something that we're very much conscious of. That we believe, Matt, when you're fighting a country like Dominica, you fight on all fronts. The diaspora and the engagement of the diaspora is one front. Engagement with the international community is another. Engagement with businesses in the United States is another. But importantly, the key front is on the ground. Persons who will be actually voting you into office and being able to offer them
I don't know what's going on there with our pro. I think we have lost Thompson Fontaine there for a minute. We're trying our very best to reconnect. So be patient with us. You know, in technology, there's things that do happen. So let's see if we can reconnect with Thompson Fontaine. We have a lot more questions to ask. And of course, maybe the next few minutes I'll allow you to ask the questions you need to ask. Dr. Fontaine, are you back? For some reason, I'm not connecting here. Dr. Fontaine, are you there? We had a little problem here. Dr. Fontaine, are you back? Keep dropping here.
but I'm not sick.
Dr. Fontaine, are you back?
Yes, Matt, I am.
Oh,
Sorry
I'm
about
sorry.
that.
Yeah, we
Yes.
were talking about having meetings in Dominica. A lot of people are asking and saying that the UWP is not on the ground. Will we be seeing a lot more of the Workers' Party on the ground?
Matt, this is probably, and anybody, that is politics 101. Politics 101 dictates that political party wishing to get the favor of the voting population must engage them. And that engagement is best done one on one on the ground. So let me assure this person or the other persons who may be concerned that a key part of our strategy is not a secret, but that is to be on the ground with the people. That will take different forms, whether it's through sporting engagements and other areas, but we will absolutely be on the ground with the people of Dominica.
And how soon will that happen?
Matt, it has already started. It has already started, but the engagement will be more robust. The engagement will be more profound as we go forward. I want individuals to rest assured that that is very much a part of the way we intend to proceed. Meetings on the ground, engaging the Dominican public in a very meaningful manner. We want them to know what our plans are for them, man. Because we believe that we have plans that can move this country forward, and we're anxious to let the Dominican public know of those plans.
Mr. Roosevelt's Carrier will be inviting, and I think the next June 1st, we'll be bringing Mia Motley on the stage. Any comments about that? Because a lot of people have been pushing back, saying Mia Motley is not welcome to Dominica. What's your thoughts on that?
But I believe that in terms of diplomacy and so on, it is fine for Mia Motley to be in Dominica. If the Prime Minister wants to invite her to Dominica, I think the Dominican public should not necessarily be speaking against it, because that happens all the time. Countries go, but what the Dominican Republic need to remember is that Mia Mottley was a key part of removing at least 35 to 40% of the gross domestic product of Dominica. She accepted Ross. I believe that when Ross was having discussions with her, she would have encouraged Ross to stay on in Dominica. She did not. She took all of that business onto herself. So the Dominican Republic need to remember that. They also need to remember that Mayor Motley was the one who sent troops into Salisbury. So these are things that must be at the back of our mind. But it does not mean that we shame a foreign leader in our country. Let us welcome her, but at the same time, let us remember her relationship with us, and also as that she does more, especially as the CARICOM leader. I think it's an opportunity for us to encourage her, to encourage the government of Dominica to do the reforms that they have signed up to. Legislation is not enough. It is very important that not only do you have the legislation, but you actually carry out those reforms. And I hope that as chairperson of CARICOM, an organization that has for years been lamenting that the elections in Dominica neither free nor fair, that will use her position and her friendship with the Prime Minister to encourage him to do the right thing by the people of Dominica.
Dr. Fontaine, I know before you left, there seemed to be some semblance of disunity within the United Workers' Party. And I know there was a reconciliation exercise taking place right after that. How did that go?
But about 2 Saturdays ago, we had a very important meeting or retreat at Rosalie, where we basically brought together the leadership and executive members of our party. And it was really to set aside all of that talk about disunity and not working together. It was about our ability to talk to each other and to unite. Because, man, let us understand this. At the end of the day, Dominica as a country is bigger than any one individual. It's bigger than me as the leader of the party. It's bigger than anyone else. And we need to understand that we are in this business not for ourselves. We are doing this in the best interest of our country. And that dictates that we set aside our differences, we set aside what divides us, and that we come together for a common good. Because Dominica needs us at this time. Dominica needs a serious party that can take over the reins of office, of government, and do good by the people of Dominica. And that is where our head is. That's where our mindset is. And I believe that you will see going forward a much more united front, a much more um, disciplined party, a party that understands what the mission is. And if it means having to sacrifice our own personal ways, our own personal habits at the altar of a better Dominica, that's what we need to do. And I think that our people understand that.
So,
And they
so, you- so
go
you prefer to
together.
put you're prepared to put all egos aside at this time and focus going forward.
But we absolutely have to. We have no choice, really. Dominica is bigger than any one of us. And that's the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to come together, not only within the United Workers' Party, but also all of the opposition. There are many people who may not support the United Workers' Party, but who are in opposition to government. We have to find a way of getting all of those forces together so that we can act collectively in having a change of government in Dominica. And that, to me, is the responsible way to go, the responsible thing to do.
So you're in good talking terms as we speak with the executive of the United Workers' Party. I just want to dismiss that altogether.
Oh, Matt, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, obviously, in any organization, everybody has their own personal ways, but at the end of the day, we understand that we have to do this as a united front, as a united party, and that is how we are moving forward. That is what we are committed to do, and that is the commitment that we are giving to the people of Dominica. That as a united front, United Workers' Party Team Dominica, we are moving forward together, speaking with one voice, acting together, and really helping to lift each other up. It should not be a competition amongst ourselves, but rather it should be a collective effort, understanding the work that is ahead, understanding the need to bring the campaign to the ground in Dominica, understanding the need to create opportunities for our people. All of that is a hard work that has to be done. And we can only succeed if we do that together and as a united front. And that is how we are moving forward.
In terms of candidates, do we have potential candidates lined up? A lot of people are saying we need to see the candidates on the ground. We need to see you guys going door to door, making things happen.
But what I'm going to tell you about the candidates is not a secret. It's something that everybody knows. If you look at past elections, the majority of candidates are often announced when the election bell is called. And there's a very simple reason for that. Individuals who expose themselves too early, they stand to, if they're working for government, they stand to be sidelined. If they have private businesses, they stand to lose business if they're doing business with the government. We have a very vindictive government in place, and that has happened repeatedly. So any if you like rational person, anybody thinking straight, will have to take all of that into consideration. So persons who are truly independent, who have independent means of survival, who don't depend on the government, are able to step in early. But those who don't have that space will probably not be able to announce early enough. What I can tell you is that we have enough persons who are committed to do the groundwork, to do the hard work, so that whenever the candidate comes on board, they'll be able to move the process forward. But don't expect us to name our 21 candidates today or tomorrow. It's not going to happen, just realistically. But that is something that we are working on. That is something we believe that we will want to get the best candidates, because we want to offer Dominica individuals who are seasoned, individuals who understand what is needed for this country, and who can from day one work hard to ensure that we realize the growth creation, the job creation, and the growth that we're talking about. We're going to need persons that can do that in that at that level. So we are not too rushed about it. What we are rushing is to work on the ground. But in terms of the candidate selection, we're very deliberate. We have some in place, others we are working on. But we'll get, rest assured that when the election is called, we'll have our full slate of candidates.
All right, Dr. Thompson Fontaine. And in Trinidad, we saw the party that's now in power there coming together and of course forming the government. I think 27 for the UNC and two sitting in Tobago going to that government now. Are we willing to work with other parties in Dominica at this time to make this thing work?
But absolutely, as I said earlier, the opposition is not restricted to the United Workers' Party Team Dominica. There are other individuals, there are other parties in the country that we absolutely must find a way to work with. I believe that success will come with a united front, and that is what we have to offer to the Dominican public. I don't believe as a leader of the party that we should say, well, yeah, we have all the answers as the United Workers' Party. Okay, there are people who disagree with our process, who disagree with the party, but who are opposed to the government. How do we find a way to get these people to work together with us? And going forward, that is an important part of our agenda as well. Having a united front, complete and total united front to go up against a government that has been in office and is seemingly very well entrenched in Dominica. How do you know, change this government? How do you get rid of this government? It has to be through a united front. So absolutely, we'll be working with others in the opposition to ensure that we achieve that goal.
To Thompson Fontaine, I've always thought about that every day, if you will. I mean, you're contesting against a money machine, meaning the Dominican Labour Party. No secret that there's a lot of money out there within the ranks of the Labour Party. Thompson, are you guys raising funds to at least meet some of the funds going forward, your expenses going forward?
Matt, you point to something very important, and that's the reason why we were agitating for campaign finance reform, because we needed to ensure that there was a level playing field. As it is, there is no campaign finance, so that is something that we have to deal with. That's an issue that we absolutely have to contend with. How do we defeat a government that appears to have bottomless amounts of money when it comes to running elections? Mark you, those monies don't seem to be there to invest in agriculture, invest in other growth generating activities, but the monies are there for campaign. How do we fight with this? The way, Matt, you battle this, you have to view yourself as a David coming up against a Goliath. And in that context, what we mean, we don't have the heavy resources that they have, but what we can get and what we do have is the confidence of the Dominican public. So we believe that if we go to the Dominican public sufficiently early, we sit with them in their living rooms, in their drawing rooms, in the kitchens, in their backyards, on the streets, in the shops, and we explain to them what it is we're about, our vision for Dominica. We believe that that has more weight than the boundless amounts of money that this government has. So that even when they come to try to buy the election, even when they come to try to bribe individuals, that they will say, yeah, we are not interested. We believe we want something better, something more permanent. So I believe that we have a path to victory as far as that is concerned, but it will involve a constant and dedicated engagement with the Dominican public at all levels.
So let's see if we can take a few calls. Thompson, just stand by. It's already 2 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock. We are speaking to the leader of the United Workers' Party, who's now in Washington as we speak, on his way to the tri-state area, meeting with Dominicans, discussing the issues. I'm sure speaking elections. So feel free to give us a call, 449-3095, 96 and 97. Yes, he's on the line. We're speaking via StreamYard. So he will hear your questions. The numbers again are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449 3097 616 4257. Let's take a few calls. I have many more questions, but I'm allowing you, of course, to interact with the leader of the United Workers' Party. Are you there, caller? Yes.
I'm right here, Matt. Good afternoon to you and your listeners
Yes,
to the
sir.
constituency of La Plaine, Dallas, and Bonica. Mr. Ponting, good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon.
I'm just going to draw a red flag. What concerns you, as you know, that the Dominican Labour Party is in full election mood, and they had a national rally where they have Mia Motley going to be their main speaker. And this is going to be, the Dominican Labour Party has unleashed a full election mood. So what is the United Workers' Party doing in preparation with that situation, as the Dominican Labour Party has exposed finally, as they have a huge national rally coming up, and which their Mia Motley is going to be their main speaker. Matt, I just have another thing. Why is Caribbean leaders, Mr. Fontaine, if you can also answer, why is Caribbean leaders are engaging in political or the country political rallies and functions in the Caribbean? Just a question.
Your answer, sir?
Matt, well, he wants to know what we are doing
Mhm.
in response. It is not, our actions should not so much be in response to what the Labour Party is doing. Our actions really should be in our understanding that we need to gain the confidence of the Dominican public. And how you gain that confidence is by constant and continuous engagement with them. That will take different forms. It will take from a public meeting. It will take one-on-one engagements, whatever form it takes. But that is key. And so let me assure Jason that we are working very hard on doing just that. Okay, and showing that those engagements in the Dominican public take place. We cannot control the activities of the government. We cannot control who the Labour Party invites into Dominica. That is for them to deal with. What we can control is the amount of time we spend on the ground, the amount of time we spend trying to win hearts and minds. That's what we can control. And so that is where the energy and the effort will go into. That involves, of course, having to raise resources. All of that is part of the equation. All of that is what, as a party, we must take on, we must engage with.
I think he was making a point as it relates to, leaders, Caribbean leaders getting involved in local politics. Your thoughts on that? I think are you there?
Matt, we saw recently that not only did we see Mayor Motley, we also saw the engagement of Michel from Grenada, and Pierre-Louis
From
from
St.
St.
Lucia.
Lucia. Yeah, so we have seen where the engagements have taken place with Caribbean leaders. That happens. To me, that is neither here nor there. Again, this is not something we can control. It's within the prerogative of the Prime Minister to invite into Dominica whomever he wishes. It's also the prerogative of the governments to be sensitive. Those leaders who are invited, they must be sensitive to the politics of the country. And that is where I believe that we can do better. We can do more to sensitize these regional leaders, as we did with Mayor Motley when we had this issue of March 19th. We wrote to her and she responded in the affirmative. That's what we can do. All right, and we will do those things. But at the end of the day, it's up to the prerogative of the Prime Minister.
Somebody's asking me to ask Dr. Thompson Fontaine, now that the electoral reform laws have been passed and flying in voters have been legalized, do you believe that we are in a better position, or you're in a better position now with these reforms, or worse position? Or if it's worse, will you be boycotting again? Did you learn anything from the last boycott strategy, and will you do it again? That's the question there.
Okay, Matt, that's a very critical question, because the issue of electoral reform does not end with the passage of the legislation. That is just the start. Okay, that is just the start. Electoral reform means you now go in, you cleanse the voters list, you issue voter ID cards, and you get prepared for elections. We've not seen any of that. All right, so my answer to this is the CCJ warned our government not to engage in future elections where we have a bloated voters list. The different committees, observer missions from the Commonwealth, from the OAS, from CARICOM, from the East, everywhere, anywhere they've come from, they have always indicated that. Okay, they have always indicated the need to ensure that we have those reforms. So what I would like to encourage the government of Dominica to do, there is still at least 3 more years to go before the term expires, and that they should use this opportunity to empower the electoral office with the resources that they need, with the funding that they need, with the personnel that they need to ensure that those reforms take place. And once we have those reforms, let us talk about elections. But in the absence of those reforms, we are back where we were in 2022, December of 2022. So let's not fool ourselves. We are at the beginning of a process. We need to complete that process.
Am I getting from you, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, that somewhere at the back of your mind, you're saying that Mr. Skerritt might just call a snap election without reforms?
But I hope it does not go down that route. That would be disastrous. It would really be spitting in the faces of the Dominican public and of all of the work and the effort and the energy and the money that have gone into all of this. So I hope it does not go down that route. I hope that the Prime Minister understands the need to allow the Electoral Commission to do its work, to allow the Electoral Commission to be able to get up the voters list, do the confirmation process, give us a clean list, just let them do their work and use the mandate that he has to run the country. He has 3 years. Why don't he use those 3 years instead of thinking of a snap election? Why don't he use those 3 years to try to create some jobs, for example? Why don't they use those 3 years to seriously consider what happens if the CBI program dries up? There's lots of work to be done as a government. And this obscene, crazed focus on snap elections just to stay in office is ridiculous. There's a reason why we have a 5-year rule. And that should give the government enough time to be able to do enough to gain the confidence of the public. So let us hope that in this case, the government uses this opportunity not to focus on elections, focus on getting the electoral reforms done, and then we can move forward.
The last time I had the opportunity to ask Mr. Skerritt about that, he basically said, well, he can rely on the Constitution that says that he can call election anytime. So that is a card that he can use against you or anybody else.
Yes, man, but that again is a very flippant dismissal of our Constitution. When that law was put in the Constitution, it was to allow the government an opening if in case there was a vote of no confidence or something, some emergency or something, that they would use that. It was not meant when everything is going normally, that you would use that option. That was never the intent. So the Prime Minister needs to understand that. While yes, it's in the Constitution, but it was put there for a purpose. And it should not be used flippantly. It should not be used to simply dismiss the the good intentions of the Dominican public.
Let's take a few more phone calls there. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes? Uh-huh.
Yes, Matt.
Yes.
Mr. Fountain with a statement and talking about the welcoming Mia Motley. I have no difficulty with that. But how could we welcome someone who has not apologized for the ills he has done to this country? Number one, she made sure that she snatched our bread from our mouth. I'm talking about Ross University, right? Secondly, she sent people who should tag yes, put it tag yes, spread out tag yes, expired tag yes at that on the people of Salisbury. And 2 or 3 aged people died as a result. How can you tell me this person we should welcome him? We should demonstrate on welcome her, sorry. We should demonstrate to make sure that she apologizes before she comes to Dominica and do her nonsense. That is my view.
As a matter of fact, Thompson, I'm getting a lot of pushback since morning in terms of whether Dominica should welcome Mia Motley to the shores, to our shores.
Matt, again, you know, we're a sovereign country, right? We're a sovereign country. We're aware of the ills that she's done with regards to Dominica. I went through those with you. But I'm saying that at the end of the day, she's been invited to Dominica, all right? And people should, in their own way, decide what's the best course of action in terms of how they deal with her. Okay, I did not say that we should welcome her. What I did say was that we, you know, in terms of the diplomacy around it, let us remember her what she's done to Dominica, and there are different ways in which we can actually push back, as we did recently when we wrote to her. So there are different ways of doing this. This last caller suggested protests. That's an option. I suggested that we can write to her, expressing our dislike and so on what happens. But by no means am I happy with what transpired, with what she contributed to with regards to Dominica, especially with what was done in the case of Ross.
As a matter of fact, I got this voice note this morning. I did not play, but let me allow you to listen there. Yes.
Good morning, Matt.
Sorry.
Matt, I think Dominicans should give me a warm welcome into Dominica. Matt, you see the route Mia is going to take from the airport into whichever hotel they're putting her up. And wherever the function she's going to is going to take place, Matt. Dominicans, you have been calling this morning about the garbage situation. Friends, neighbors, we're putting our garbage on one truck. And we're telling Mia Motley what we think of her. You just line your garbage up on the street so Mia Motley can know what she is and what we think of her. And you don't give her that warm welcome, Matt. That is the welcome all you need to give Mia. We don't have to protest and get in the street. We just have to, the night before, people just have to start lining their garbage up in the street where you know Mia Motley is going to pass. And Mia Motley would know what Dominicans think of her. And not to our dear friend Owen. Owen, please, I know you make a deal with your government, just get it to greet your gum. So you can, and you will talk for him and you will play ball by calling you Q95. Why are you doing that, my brother? Why are you doing that? Come home, come home. Trump is telling you all to go home. Go home, Owen. Rest and relax in the beautiful Commonwealth of Dominica. Just a few months. And we'll see how much money you're making in taxi driving.
So yes, as I said, Thompson, there's been a lot of pushback, as it relates to.
Yes, Matt. Matt, but you know what? Ultimately, Mayor Motley is not the Prime Minister of Dominica. Prime Minister Skerrit is. If we want changes in Dominica, we have to deal with Roosevelt Skerrit. As simple as that. Mia Mottley is the Prime Minister of Barbados. We have our issues with the Prime Minister's Scarrett. So people need to understand that, okay, that everything that has happened, with even Ross University having been taken away from us, with the tear gassing, all of that has been because of Roosevelt Scarrett. So he's the person we should be targeting our anger against. You know, this is the individual we're targeting our anger against. And this anger should translate to removing him as the leader of the country in the next election. As simple as that. Problem solved. So let us not waste too much effort and energy on Mrs. Mia Mottley. Let us focus on the problem, which is Roosevelt Scarrett.
All right, let's take some more phone calls. 449-3095-96 is already 2:13 in the afternoon. Hello, we'll take a break in a minute. Hello, yes.
Yeah, man, love, life, light, healing, joy, gratitude, courage, and sacrifice. Mr. Pelter, blessings to your family, sir.
Blessings to you, sir.
Dr. Fontaine, blessings to your family, sir.
Yes, blessings. Good to hear you.
I give thanks for your efforts, and I wish you all the best in your endeavors, sir.
Thank you.
Stay out of that Mia Mottley thing. I think you should just simply answer whatever the people want to do, whether welcome her or not, is not there inviting her. Is the Dominica-Lethal Party. That in short, stop delving into that for people to go and say you say, or for them to say, oh, you're trying to incite or instigate and all of that. You deal with that already, just brush that aside, Doc. The other thing, Matt and Dr. Fountain, and I want to ask a question before I delve into that. Doc, do you know the reconfirmation process is already on? I get in that from a hardcore laborite.
Well,
the
you know.
reconfirmation process, you will deal with that after, Doc.
Yes.
It's already on. They're secretly reconfirming. So, Doc, what about if UWP hasn't got the resources or the mechanism to reconfirm the supporters? What is going to happen to me if I go and vote? Will my name be on the list? That is a question to keep in mind. These criminals that lost the ball out their sovereign states, are we not sovereign from Barbados? Are we not sovereign from Antigua, St. Lucia? Why we can invite them to come and manipulate our whole electoral process when it comes to electing criminals in office? Because that's what they are, criminals. When you hear they're talking about sovereignty and mercenaries, getting other people in the region to come and use the psychological ploys on the people to have these criminals re-elected. So who are we sovereign from or independent from? Is it American, England, and all of them? But we are not sovereign for, to the Chinese and America. Oh, it's a game. It's a game. But Matthew, ask Doc a question. Why do you think you're ready, or you would do something any different than the Dominica-Lethal Party? Matt, 25 years, Matt. I know you're a journalist and you're asking questions, and no question is a stupid question. It have its substance, it have its relevance. So I still see it as obvious. It is clear. Why UWP? Because they had a record of 4.5 years where they worked wonders in Dominica, and the Dominica-Lethal Party have destroyed Dominica since they destroyed Pierre Charles, Rosie Douglas, and Ed Regis, and all of that. And the next thing, Doc, when we talk, apart from transparency, apart from our intrigue, when things are being done, because Matt asked about the memorandum of understanding, which I clearly heard you said that you would be reviewing it as the leader, and you talk to the Chinese ambassador or whatever. But apart from things working in our interest, there needs to be transparency and accountability. We need to be able to see and know, hold, feel, see, touch, read what a memorandum of understanding entails, rather than we're in the dark, unaccountable, where our money is, where all of that. So Scarrett cannot be running Dominica like his grandmother teaching where he boiling a broth and think he can just come and talk his foolishness. So, Doc, I hear in you, I'm listening to you. As I said, I wish you all the best in your endeavors. And all those hatchets, man, have whether they rock or they well filed, just go and bury those that and try to move them. If for the love Dominica, bury all of your hatchets And to hell with UWP, to hell with Labour, to hell with freedom. We worry about Dominica. And if you love Dominica, put all the hatred and all the bitterness aside and stand alongside each other and do what you have to do. Thank you.
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, Matt. Let me thank Blessings very much for this, and also tell you that I will have to leave after this comment because I have arrived at my next meeting destination, and it's
Wow.
in about 5 minutes. So I will have to leave
In 5 minutes.
Yes, yes. But
Okay.
I'll have to leave as soon as I'm through there because I'm already at the entrance and I'm about to go in.
Okay, we can accept that, Dr. Fontaine. Somebody says the Labour Party has been bringing persons to Dominica to reconfirm. We should be also publishing the number and the reconfirmation date. Of course, the United Workers' Party should get involved in that because you'll be caught with your pants down while you're hoping that Scary does the right thing. History should teach us Scary is not about doing the right thing. It's about staying in office. Before the court case ends on the CBI, there'll be new elections. That's what somebody's predicting at this time. Are you there? I suspect we may have lost Dr. Fontaine, but very interesting discussion there. Of course, he just entered another meeting there in Washington. I'm sure we'll be updated accordingly. But let's take a break, Dominica. We'll come back. We were just talking to Dr. Thompson Fontaine on the line, and of course, you heard his comments. But let's see. We'll do this and come back. Sorry, we had to end abruptly there.
Now available at Eaststar Trading Limited Showroom Department, a wide range of household items and accessories. Plates in porcelain, ceramic, clear and cordial. Bowls in glassware, plastic and porcelain. Pot sets and frying pan sets. Glasses for all occasions. Knife sets and cutlery. Water jugs and storage containers. Wooden spoon sets. Dish strainers. Chopping boards. Bath towels, shower curtains, bed sheet sets, curtain rods, living room sets, recliners, and dining room sets, mats and rugs, and so much more. All at unbeatable prices. Visit us today. We are located at the corner of Kennedy Avenue and Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard, Roseau. Eastside Trading Limited, making a difference for you.
Dominicans, Dominicans, enjoy your property, protect your property, you homeowner and businessman, protect your property, enjoy your property, can't wait for the hurricane, can't wait till you flood again, can't wait till your roof fly out and all your business coming out. Remember, no insurance company will insure your property when a storm is approaching. Get ahead of the hurricane season. Insure with a company who gives you the assurance of payment for your valid claim. Come speak with us today at the New India Assurance Company Limited, upstairs AC Shillingford and Company Limited, 24 King George Street, Roseau. Bring along an up-to-date valuation from a qualified engineer and get insured today.
All you, I just made goal winning Roseau again. Same place outside Flossie's. I tried to dock in, but you had time see me. Well, story start again. Million, lot of my power with us, huh? Saka fella, I said the same thing you doing, shopping at Flossie's, and you don't have to tell me the same thing you tell me last time because I busy. It's to hear him way. You reckon? About my pocket, the I won't tell you that I save money in food and drinks when I buy quantity. I save more. Oh, shucks, man. Well, when you're still telling me, I know already. To pack a spet him, why? When I get him up here for Palais, I will tell all my friends from London, US and Dominica to come to Flossie's, right next to the Rosa Market. Open Sunday to Saturday. Flossie's can't do it to you.
You took a mortgage and it wasn't NCCU's 5% mortgage mega deal? Or mortgage plans to consolidate all your debts into one mortgage rate? Okay, we listen and we don't judge.
So you have a mortgage and need some upgrades in your life, and you haven't applied for our NCCUs beyond the mortgage, 6 loans at 6%, like education, medical, and vacation. We listen and we don't judge.
Your community financial partner wants you to be sound in your pocket and in your mind. Don't make financial decisions that are going to leave you stressed. We told you, NCCU is the plug for all your money moves. We have loans for all purposes. All you have to do is contact us. Pick any of our 11 locations and then just advance.
From the cradle to the grave.
More comments and questions. Of course, Dr. Thompson Fontaine was attending another meeting there in Washington and had to end our conversation abruptly. But I'm sure we'll talk to him sometime before the big meeting in New York this Friday. He's now spending some time in Washington. Somebody's saying here, I'm not saying that the PM of Barbados is a saint, but to think she was wrong to accept Ross University is madness. Look, if we don't manage our World Creole Music Festival, we'll lose it to another country. We only have ourselves to blame for not doing the right thing. If she didn't accept it, Ross, or if she didn't accept Ross, someone else would. So don't need to show or showcase garbage to disrespect ourselves as a people. Okay? A response to a question or statement earlier when somebody said we should display the rubbish to show Mia Motley our disgust. The numbers are 449-309-596 and 97. Thompson Fontaine on tour, Washington and the tri-state area. Big meeting planned for this Friday. Are you there? Hello.
Yeah, Matt, just quickly, she may have conspired. She may have conspired. So you do not trust me. If she can come, Dominica, give you tear gas and bullets and everything else. You're dealing with an infant, a puerile, juvenile, delinquent fool. You can tell me you steal your mother gold. I know the value of it. You don't know. I know you stole like a chocolate and stole like a biscuit you want. I give you $20. You give me a mother gold that was $5,000. You telling me not to blame blessings because it's the boy that come and sell his mother chain. He does not know the value of things. He is inexperienced and foolish. I don't want to say idiotic, Matt. But Matt, just quickly, Mia is as guilty as Skerrit. I heard that all the 111 you hear in them. If somebody tell you they hear 111, what they saying? That means siren.
Yes, of course.
I go down the road, I hear in 111. What does that mean, siren? They say Trump that trying to grab Dr. Fontaine there, you know, Matt. Be careful when you are breaking news. You hear Thompson say, well, sorry, workers, but Trump grabbed me. I can't be leader again. No, Matt, we will have to vote for you to be leader next time. Matt, the thing I am saying, you see a lot of people, you know, I mean, some people give me respect and say, blessings, boy, blah, blah, blah. Give thanks. But some people will say, blessings, don't talk nonsense. Matt, let me tell you something. We are fragmented. We are distracted, Matt. Not realizing, Matt, what Skerrit is doing is calculated, and it's not Skerrit alone. In isolation, the Chinese, Anthony Hayden, Mia Motley, she wants more gold to buy, Matt. Because, you know, when Skerrit have valuable things, she can just say, you know something, I know it's the little thing you want. Look, go and buy some chocolate and biscuit and ice cream. And she take the valuables. If Mia had any sense of proper conduct, decorum or something, she would have told Skerrit, no man, do whatever you have to do to keep Ross University. Because she's already ahead. Her country's already ahead of us. So when you do that and still can send tear gas and bullets and soldiers to beat the people, not that woman should never, Dominicans, I am not asking for nothing to say protest and tell me a Motley. What we don't even know where the hell we are. Everybody are busy looking to see if they get a piece of bread and some KFC. Matt, 800 people from Clay Harbor, Matt, is that true?
About 800, yes, about that.
About 800 Clay Harbor workers have been sent home, Matt. And Dominicans are sitting there. In closing, Matt, if Dominicans were politically mature, Matt, they would need no boots on the ground, Thompson, Fountain, Lennox, Linton, or nobody come in and try to convince them it's time to get rid of Skerrit. No, we are all fanatically charged, Matt. We are extreme in our support for politicians. So we waiting to see, but me, they say Skerrit have harm giving we. Or they say, look, he was in Hillsborough Garden Estate giving people more than you between Lion St. Jude, Matt. And you know, we're looking for some crumbs that fall off Skerrit table rather than asking him to be transparent and accountable. We should not be asking, we should be fighting, protesting. I would say burning, but they will say inciting. We have to do whatever we have to do, Matt, to get these criminals out of office rather than, I mean, Matt, you see what he's doing to those politicians for years. He's just shuffling them like a deck of cards, and it's so Blackmore. Remember, he said lazy Blackmore, lazy why you fire him, Matt? Can you remember?
Mm-hmm.
And then Blackmore there now, so he's using Blackmore like a little poodle to do all his dirty work and go make a fool of himself. Skerrit just won John Q95. You see how Matt they're giving Thompson all kind of questions. Come now, you little childish, foolish little boy. Have a blessed day, sir.
Have a blessed blessings. On the telephone, hello, talk to me, yes? Yes?
Yes, Matt. I am totally supportive of Blessing's statement.
Okay.
Because we cannot treat, I do not know if this person who spoke or the statement that was read by you, if that person was influenced or is influenced by the powers that be. But all I am saying is that is not a child play thing. We cannot treat that as a child play thing and be, we are motley, this. No, we have to treat that seriously. Because what we underestimate Dominica. That is our problem. Because those other leaders are seeing Dominica and they know the benefits to Dominica. Because Dominica is the most blessed country in the Caribbean and yet we treat it as a bag of I do not know what. So, Mia Motley supposed to be taught a lesson. We're supposed to show him that we are disgruntled about all the things he has done to our Dominican people. She, well, sorry to say she or she. But anyway, to our Dominican people. And that is our problem right now. We just want to try to, leave them alone, and we are suffering. I think that we need to stand up. Right now is the time for us to stand up and don't tolerate this nonsense that's happening in our country. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. 449-3095-96 and 97. More telephone calls coming at this time. We're taking a call from the overseas line. Are you there, Yes?
Yes, Mr. Pelty, I'm there.
Okay.
I cannot understand why Dominicans would even welcome the Prime Minister of Barbados into Dominica after she had even sent her people to use tear gas on them. I think, but again, the government of Dominica, a bunch of parasites. Blessings, I don't always agree with you, but I agree with you this time. It is ridiculous. Time Dominicans get up from their behinds and take their country back. No one is going to do that for you all. Not the Chinese. The Chinese want to take it away from you. The Chinese not helping Dominica. The Chinese looking to take Dominica away from Dominica. When the American leaders, politicians, Democrats or Republicans go out and sign an agreement, when they come back, they report to the people whatever they sign. Your Prime Minister signs something in China and he tells you it's not your damn business. Who the hell he thinks he is? Thank you.
Thank you, too. Thank you very much. 449-3095-96 and 97. Hello. Talk to me. Yes. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
But, Matt, just this morning, I heard Mr. Skerrit talking about borrowing money to implement all what was done with the electoral reform. Did you hear that, Matt? It was on Q95
Yes,
News.
I heard that.
So why, you mean the government is that broke that they can't find a few dollars here and there to implement? Skerrit is making it sound as though it's going to be some kind of a big money. You mean he want to exploit even the reforms? No, man, Mr. Skerrit. The government must have enough money to implement these simple reforms. How you have to borrow money from the National Bank? You're gonna exploit us again? How much of that is gonna be skimmed? Matt, no, this is a joke. This guy is skimming money from everything. And you know that's where the oil comes from? The oil to oil his electoral machine, his machinery. Eh? No. Dominicans, we must stop it. We must wake up and stop it. Thanks, Matt.
All right, thank you very much, 449. Matt, Dominica is losing all our government investments because of our geopolitical standing with America. Dominica, don't treat America as a friend. So American companies and investments are pulling out. American companies and investments are pulling out. That's the point there of the caller. Hello, talk to me. Yes? Uh-huh. Are you there? Hello.
Good afternoon. I'm there.
Yes, sir.
On the block. Let me tell you, look at so long we're talking reform. St. Kitts and all the rest of the region, most of the OECs, got their reform paid for by the OS. Okay? So therefore, we could have get that paid for from the same source. But we drag our feet on this, the government has been drag their feet on this, and try to play politics on this rather than behaving and to ensure that we have what they call best practice, in these areas to really govern ourselves as a people. And therefore, we really Prime Minister talk about borrowing money. Then just see, he's going to borrow to implement, one. Two, he paid Dennis Byron quite a sum to do consultancy. Then he paid Mayor Motley quite a sum as well to do consultancy. And when Mayor Motley did this consultancy, a member of the Electoral Commission at the time said the report does not even worth the waste paper basket. We have not seen a report at all, but she was paid. Dominica is a rich country to be just spending money for simple things like that we were getting years ago done for us, paid for, and so forth. And I want to give you a quick history of that. Mayor Motley and the BLP in Barbados, they were the sister parties of the Dominica Freedom Party. When Michael Lassevan was leader of the Freedom Party, we had a discussion with Mayor. She was in the opposition then, and she wanted to help us to fight reform. But she said, as a lawyer, she's a Queen Counsel that is, she could not fight unless she was called to the bar, the local bar in Dominica. We organized for her to be called to the bar, set everything up. She came down with a friend of hers, some David Seaman, some guy, friend of hers. They came down, both of them. And the person we arranged to have sponsored them at the court at the time, the person was below her level because she's a Queen Counsel, but she was a normal barrister. And when Tony Aston was in the court, and Tony Astefan, he then agreed to sponsor her so he can practice law in Dominica. And that was the main purpose was for her to assist us, the Freedom Party, to fight electoral reform. Immediately when Tony sponsored her, he gave Scared hint of that, and she was given a consultancy and so forth. She did the report, and from a member of the commission at the time said, "You do move the whistle basket." Then all of a sudden, now you have Picker Wickham and Alclay Henry, who were Democratic Party members in Barbados, but when David Thompson passed, they could not do what they wanted with Stonewall Stewart, so they left the party and they joined the BLP. And these two guys get Mayor Motley to work with Roosevelt Skerritt, and since then, that's where the relationship has been, and so forth. What we are saying is for Mayor Motley to come here in a campaign move with Skerritt to promote an election, a by-election, in Dominica when Skerritt himself is breaking the same law they passed for reform. They're not adhering to the law they passed because we have 15 months for the reconfirmation to take place, and so forth. So that's why we are saying for her to come as a head of government to campaign, Matt, is not right. Yes, we have seen prime ministers came in here and speak. We have had it before in the Freedom Party, the Labour Party, that's normal. But for her to come and join a campaign for a snap election in this country, when the reform that was passed on the 19th of December of March, people got arrested, and that she'll be here in a campaign now waving and shouting and all kind of nonsense, when the country, the very government that passed those reforms is breaking the same law by wanting to call an election under what we call the corrupt voters list. That's what we are saying. And Mayor Motley must get the message. Because when you're a corrupt leader, then you end up yourself in corruption. The fact that she was brought here to help us to fight reform, and then she ended up taking a consultancy. It tells you that she's a person that should not be trusted. Thank you, Matt.
All right, thank you very much. Bosso, you still there?
Yes, I'm there.
Bosso, you said she needs to be given the message. What is the message that you're talking about? What message?
The message is the Dominicans are not happy with her behavior.
Okay.
Because I listened to Mayor Motley when Ross approached Mayor Motley in Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to Mayor Motley speaking to the Barbados media, and she said when Ross approached her, she called in no waste time. She called her Minister of Education and she called her Minister of Home Affairs, and immediately went into action. And she said that her commitment is to Barbados, Barbadians, and that's all matters to her. So therefore, she was not playing CARICOM. She was not playing anything like that. She was playing a Barbados game. And of course, Ross went. She didn't say, well, have you all discussed with Dominica? What is the issue in Dominica? Can I speak to Prime Minister Skerrit? No, she said when Ross approached her, she immediately called, in the time, she called her Minister of Education and her Minister of Home Affairs, and they put into play immediately the mechanism to get Ross to settle in Barbados. So she has to get that message that we're not pleased about that as a regional prime minister. And the other thing we're not pleased about is the fact that the RSS, under her leadership, came here to open targets on people in Salisbury while people were in their bed sleeping. And the other thing, to send them there on the 19th of March this year, which sparked all of these things that took place. So she needs to get those messages loud and clear that the Dominican people are not happy for. Some Labourites can happy for if they want, because they take away what you have and they give you a handout and you're happy. That's fine with you. But the rest of us who understand governance must say that this is not the right way to govern a country. And we must be free and fair to say this and open to say it anywhere in a democracy. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you, Boston. Thank you as usual. Thank you.
Matt Pelty, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon.
Matt Pelty, the backdrop of the conversation you're having in respect to the Labour Party celebrating 70 years on June 1st. And their key speaker is Mia Motley. It's pretty significant. And I'll tell you why it's significant. We have complained about where Dominica is in terms of its leadership and Dominicans becoming second-class citizens in their own country, where they do not have rights to speak against what is happening, but foreigners like the Chinese and others have more rights to do as they please under the sun. Matt Peltier, this is a continuation of the disrespect that the gentleman who says he runs Dominica shows towards its people and the country. Matt Peltier, if you take a walk to Picard, Portsmouth, where Ross University was developed, had developed after 40-something years, you can see the amount of infrastructure that had gone up there over that period of time in the tune of millions of dollars that helped the financial institutions, because we all know the National Bank had an office, had a branch by Ross. The National Bank and the Portsmouth Credit Union were open to giving people loans to build buildings. The revenue generated from Ross allowed them to pay back those loans with interest that not just benefited the immediate area, but everybody who had savings and savings in the bank and were members of the credit union. The economic impact of Ross on the town of Portsmouth and the Northeast was significant. But here it is, the people of Portsmouth who have, for some reason, signed on there in blood when they were born that they will support nothing but the Labour Party, is having a 70th celebration. And the gentleman is inviting the individual who he had given allowed to take Ross University to Barbados. Mia Motley is looking for the interests of Bajan people. Mia Motley is looking for the interests of her own country. And in so doing, I don't blame her for having Ross, because if I was her, I would do the same thing if I had a friend who was that stupid as Roosevelt Skerrit. But the travesty of the situation is, here it is, they're celebrating 70 years. He is having the 70th anniversary, not at the Picard, not at Portsmouth, but in Dublin, close to Portsmouth. A slap in the face of Portsmouth people who have supported the party for 70 years, and bringing Mia Motley, the person who now is entertaining Ross University and is benefiting from all the economic activity that has been lost in Portsmouth. Yet still, these people will sit down and they say they will born labor and they will die labor. Matt Pelty, that's the height of stupidity, and that's the height of disrespect that this individual has for the people who support him, for the own people. And as I always say, Roosevelt Skerritt is right. Roosevelt Skerritt is very right. Because when a man comes to beg you every 5 years, please give me a vote, put me in power. And then he comes and he whips you, he beats you, he abuses your generation, he abuses your family, he destroys your finances, he destroys your independence, he makes you a beggar, and you still supporting that kind of governance. Then the people of Portsmouth, the people of Dominica, and I hate to say it, Matt Pelty, because you know that's not my mindset, but I think the people of Dominica deserve everything they get under Roosevelt Skerritt. And unless people stand up and realize enough is enough, the guy has showed me that he doesn't care about people. The guy has showed me he cares nothing about anybody but himself. The constant abuse and the wanting to stay in power forever is only to fulfill Roosevelt Skerritt's needs. And I think it has passed the time of revolution. And if human beings do not want to do what is necessary, the due course of nature, there is always destruction when there is foolishness, Matt Pelty. So you have a good afternoon.
Somebody said I need to play the clip where Prime Minister Gaston Brown was calling on Ralph Gonzalez to stay out of country's domestic politics. The same must be said of Mia. Stay out of Dominica's local politics. I'll try to get that one, okay? Mia is an enemy to Dominica and not a friend of the Dominican people. On the telephone, hello, talk to me, yes?
Matthew, maybe about 17 minutes or less. Give me less than a minute. I got you. I just hear you saying that. Or they're calling on Ralph Gonzalez to stay out of their business because they are sovereign states, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Because so Mia Motley is coming in, the St. Lucian Prime Minister is coming in, everybody's coming in into Dominica or into the different territories in the region to manipulate elections. They're not claiming sovereignty, man. So when that is happening, it's very interesting, you know, these creatures of convenience. But look at Ross University. And if given a chance, the Americans would have done more. But we have open access to the American market. If you see, we could only supply them with our goods and services. Not, you know, what Calypsonians even go up there and sing and sing and make the little money and come back home, Matt, isn't that so?
That's true.
You know, after they organizing themselves, they're going up there and all of that. Not all the Chinese have ever done in Dominica, apart from all the garbage they're bringing and selling to Dominicans, not diabetes and high blood pressure is high business. You see, the Chinese bringing no herbal, and the Chinese are strong. in traditional healing and herbs. But if killer want to kill us also, they will not bring no healing and all of that. So they bring the hospital there. Is to sell the garbage and Matt, you know, the windows and doors is a set of plastics, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
If you check the Chinese thing they build at Fokolo there, and if you go there, I wonder if there are 5 Dominicans working there. It's Chinese that are working there, supplying all government business and even private businesses, calling the Chinese to bring the oil and those that dangerous. They can cut your fingers. The wind blow and all of that because it's metal and plastic. And that can just cut off your hand, cut off your fingers. So when all of us like to talk, also Trump and America is Satan. So we're looking for a new rising empire. Let us run to China. It was England. All of a sudden, we're looking to run to China because we don't want America. And I'm saying it's not about gratitude, Matt, in that case, but discretion, common sense, and diplomacy. And I hear Dr. Fountain use that word. Based on Mia Motley talking, and he talk about, you know, based on diplomacy and all of that. But we should give Mia a welcome with a constitutional cool wash brigade, Matt. That's how we should welcome Mia Motley, with a constitutional cool wash brigade. Thanks for your time, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. 449-309-596 and 97. Let's play this insert there from Mr. Gun. I think Gaston Brown. Gaston Brown it is asking Gonzalez to stay off.
Statement was unfortunate. I think this was a deliberate and provocative attack on member states.
Let me take it from the top.
First of all, I felt that Ralph's statement was unfortunate, and I think this was a deliberate and provocative attack on member states within the OECS, his colleagues, and a small one of the countries. We always encourage leaders to stand in solidarity with each other. And I was a little shocked that Ralph could be so reckless with his language to treat all of us with the same broad brush. And whereas I am not in a position to admit, or for that matter, deny any corruption in any other program, I can certainly speak to our program. And I want to say to Ralph definitively that the accusations that he made of corruption in these programs, which would have included Antigua and Barbuda, they certainly don't apply to our country. And I also want to say to Ralph that Antigua and Barbuda runs a legitimate investment immigration program. I also want to say to Ralph that we have not published a single application without appropriate due diligence. So this notion that there's a lot of corruption and we are processing applications without due diligence and so on, I want to say certainly in the case of Antigua and Barbuda, your information is flawed. And even if, Ralph, you are speculating that there may be corruption in other programs, I do not appreciate your literally treating us with a broad brush and to implicate one of the best run investment immigration programs in the world, the Antigua and Barbuda program, with the type of adjectives and mismanagement and corruption that you're talking about. And I would say to here, Ralph, I am aware that within St. Vincent and Grenadines, from time to time, you give people who make economic contributions, and I'm talking about foreigners who make significant economic contributions, you give them citizenship. So whereas in Antigua and Barbuda, we don't have that type of leverage within our constitution to make those people citizens. The CIP, on the other hand, gives us the opportunity to give people who make significant economic contributions via our CIP program citizenship. So it's no different from what you're doing. And I will never pass my place to go and accuse you of corruptly giving passports to the people who you have given passports to. And what is very unfortunate about this, we are trying to carve out a good living standard for the people of the region. Many of our countries have transitioned into immigration investment programs to raise additional revenues to take care of the obligations of our governments and to uplift our people. Now, this idea about visa-free access, I don't know why Ralph believes that, the CIP countries will use visa-free access, and the St. Vincent and Grenadines will be able to retain visa-free access. At the end of the day, we are operating within the same space. And as I said before, the same stick that beats the wild goat is the same one that can beat the tame. To the best of my knowledge, St. Vincent and Grenadines has no visa-free access into Canada, being having a CIP program. And why do you think that if the European Union were to revoke the visa-free access of the CIP OCS countries, why do you think that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will continue into perpetuity? So what should be happening here together is that we should be supporting each other because they may use CIP to stop our visa-free access, but they'll use some other reason to stop visa-free access into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So it is not appropriate for Ralph to be trashing us with the hope that we lose our visa-free access. And by the way, no decision has been taken up to this point by the European Union, and even information too that somebody circulated about the US saying that they may not allow OACS Caribbean countries that have CIPs access into the United States. No such decision has been taken. So that's not even reliable information that Ralph is peddling. And even if that was the case, we would expect some level of empathy, not ridicule coming from a colleague prime minister, senior prime minister who we all love and respect. And if it is that it is to satisfy your domestic base, it has gone beyond your base, it has reached our shores, and you are literally undermining the integrity of leaders, within the other countries, and you are undermining our states. In fact, what you're doing, Ralph, you're giving fodder to people external of the region to take punitive action against us.
All right, that was the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown.
Matt, good afternoon. Honestly, this Ross story, to me, I don't blame Mia for coming to Dominica. I don't even blame Mia for taking Ross, because any government in Mia's position would do the same thing, would absolutely do the same thing that Mia did. The people put the government in power to look out for them. And if the government is not looking out for the people, then what is your decision? You take the government out. Matt, Ross benefited not just Portsmouth, not just the North, but the entire country. They say it's 35% of our GDP that Ross provided. I honestly believe it's more, and certainly for the town of Portsmouth, it probably was around 80%. It's a topic I've spoken about a lot because I know so many people who have been personally harmed when Ross left. People have lost their lives, Matt. This is not, okay, Ross left. It's lives affected. It's the way of life affected. Family structure affected. Hopes and dreams affected. The education system affected. The health system affected. Matt, talking about the health system, do you recall when Ross was around that? I think the incidence of preventable diseases like hypertension, diabetes, I think it was more kept in check because Ross did regular clinics around the island, not just in Portsmouth, but around the island. So, Matt, if all of this is done, and I hate to say, I don't expect to see anything different. The first people who will be there chanting labor, labor, because the mantra is, I born labor, I will die labor, will be the Portsmouth people who are most affected, Matt. So at this point, maybe Skerrit himself, he thinks the people love him so much and they continue to put him there. Who do you really blame for that? How much more can people talk and cry and plead? I think at the end of the day, we have to just come to the realization that the Portsmouth people really don't love themselves. And they continue to take the abuse consistently, time and time again, from the Roosevelt Skerrit administration, because they are the ones who are putting him there, keeping him there. And still, when he did put him there, he turns around and whip them, man. So, in that analysis, I guess mayor will come, and the people most affected, the people who know how to stand up, will do what they need to do to show their disgust. But I don't expect anything different from the people of Portsmouth, unfortunately, Matt. At this point, you have to blame the people, and Roosevelt knows that, and he's capitalizing on that, Matt. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
In defense of our country, we the people stand against oppression, corruption, nepotism, and mismanagement. We stand against your lack of respect for due process and the right to democratic equality. No apology will be accepted for betraying our trust. And with that, I sincerely apologize on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Oh God, we didn't vote for that.
All right, Dominica, this is it for us here on the Talk on the Block. We'll be back tomorrow, if God is willing, on the hot seat. I'm ending there with the Foster out of Trinidad and Tobago. We didn't vote for that. I've got to go tomorrow, okay? If God is willing.
Country fooling everybody, I say, well, we don't watch it. Back up in the church street, well, today you can't get away, no. We don't watch it. Why should we stay silent and not say one word? We must be defiant, let our voices be heard. When I can't vote for that, my country, I give the choice. Once I gave for the country, hear my voice. Yeah, don't get that lele, and still we democracy. No, don't divide our country and destroy we unity. No, put my country first because of justice. No, no. Transparency International rated us so low for underhand killings you saw. Now the people say you must go. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. No. You taking care of your family and all your friends, we say, well, people is people too. Still nothing coming, we wait. No. Contract for the wealthy, nothing for the empty. Only storage for people like you and me. It's good for people that are and them boys getting all, nothing for poor people who voted for you at all. None at all. Look at that until we democracy. No divide our country and destroy the unity. No. Section 34 was to settle us all. It has nothing to do with the poor who suffering forevermore. No. Why did you let us see thousands of innocent black brothers taken up and sent to jail under your state of emergency? Tell me! We didn't vote for that. Oh no, we didn't vote for that. Oh no, we didn't vote for that. We have spoken enough. We have spoken enough. It is now time for action. And in that regard, these are not the call election now. Corruption and crime is the order of the day. Yes. The unemployment so high, nurses and teachers going away. You promise the people better days are coming. You promise to listen. You promise everything. On election day, we go hit the BP for 4. And still we we be marked. No, no, don't divide our country and destroy we unity. No, don't cakalele and still we be marked. No, no, don't divide our country and destroy we unity. No, don't cakalele and still we be marked.
All right, Dominica, we're here. Of course, we're going to play you some good calypso music there as we move along there. And Dominica, some good calypso music there for the rest of the afternoon until, of course, our next scheduled program, some good calypso music. So stick around, Dominica. We're here. We are with you in Dominica. Let's go.
Nice again. There just seems to be no hope for Dominicans in Dominica. If you're not a passport seller, your bank account full in for sure. Nothing is being exported out of this country anymore. The only people doing well are the crooks who have passports to sell. Patriot and joking that I am. Conditions forcing me to come up with a scam. I carry my passport to the highest. I take it on my picture. I put it in the fire. But I have to be smarter. I don't want to get caught. I tell my any rich one. You have no choice for. I don't want to get caught. If the police catch me, I'll pay them off. We know they okay with corruption. The only person that I am afraid of is Mr. Lennox Freedom. Hey, yeah. The future of prosperity for foreigners must be shining. They pay no taxes, they pay no social security. Young people have no choice but to migrate to neighboring countries. Last year in my despair, I tried planting a few trees of marijuana. It dropped so politically blind. I passed the minister's greenhouse plantation and come and destroy mine. So I'm telling my passport to the highest. Yeah. I take it on my picture. I put it in the fire. I have to be smart, I don't want to get caught. I take my passport to any rich yeah. I don't have no choice, I don't want to get caught. If If the police catch me, I'll pay them off. We know in corruption, the only person that I afraid of. I know. Yo. It seems our government want us to come taking on bending. They don't like men and women who think independently. Passport sellers committing crimes with immunity. The pocketer don't get into that, yet they never think of giving back. But my interest is to invest in the community. Sensitive the best. I carry my passport to the highest leader. I take it off my picture. I put many fire. But I have to be smart, God. I don't want to get caught. I carry my passport and I'm flying